Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a crisis that is literally affecting every single one of us. We're going to unpack exactly how modern technology is fundamentally altering our biological ability to process everyday emotions. And listen, we aren't just talking about screen time here, okay? We're talking about how our mental health, our anxiety levels, and honestly, our grip on reality are being quietly hijacked right out from under us.
It's a pretty heavy question, isn't it? Why has our society seemingly lost the ability to process emotions? Well, to understand this modern crisis, we really have to look at the root cause. We need to examine how our devices, the ones sitting in our pockets right this very second, fundamentally change the way our brains focus. Because the truth is, the way we pay attention directly dictates how our minds function.
All right, let's get into part one, the attention elevator. So we absolutely love technology, and why wouldn't we? It concentrates our attention for us. When you're watching a super engaging TikTok of a cute cat, your mind becomes completely one-pointed. But here is the catch. That is automatic sensory focus. The app is doing all the heavy lifting for you. It's completely effortless. Contrast that with forced active focus, like, say, sitting down to read a really dense textbook. That requires hard, conscious, internal effort to restrain your mind from wandering off.
Think about it like physical exercise. The more I take the elevator, the weaker my legs get. If you take the elevator every single day, your muscles just weaken from disuse, right? Relying on technology to automatically capture your focus does the exact same thing to your brain. It severely weakens your mind's attentional muscle. We are literally losing the foundational skill of directing our own minds.
Which brings us to part two, the digital opiate cycle. Once that attentional muscle is weak, we enter this dangerous, self-reinforcing loop that's happening to millions of people right now. Step 1, you lose control of your attention because you've been taking that mental elevator. Step 2, an anxious or depressive thought naturally pops up, and because you can't control your focus, you just spiral. So step 3, you feel terrible, and the absolute easiest escape is to turn right back to your phone. Sure, it pulls your attention away from the pain for a second, but it immediately triggers step 4. Your attention muscle weakens even further. It acts exactly like an opiate addiction, continuously increasing your dependency and making you so much more sensitive to suffering the second the screen finally goes dark.
Okay, part 3, farming your attention.
This builds into a massive, highly profitable industry. As Dr. K brilliantly puts it, literally, we have become attention farms. Social media platforms and their algorithms generate immense ad revenue by farming your attention. Why? Because the people designing these systems understand a fundamental truth of human psychology. They know that if they can control your sensory organs, they can control your desires and your wants. You aren't just a user, your attention is literally the crop being harvested.
And that isn't just some poetic metaphor. Your attention is literally the most valuable thing you have. I mean, think about it. If you can focus on a study guide, you get an A. If you can focus on your work, you build a career and make money. When algorithms claim your attention just to keep you mindlessly scrolling, they are objectively claiming control over the direction of your life. They are stealing the raw fuel that you need to build your future.
Now let's shift gears to part 4, the need for idle time.
What's really fascinating is what happens to our brains when we are away from these screens. Think about how we sleep. In the first 2 hours of the night, you get very little REM sleep. But in the last 2 hours, your REM sleep, the phase where you dream and emotionally process things, spikes dramatically. Daytime idle time actually works the exact same way. When your brain gets a moment of pure silence, it doesn't just shut down. It uses that time to actively process emotions and take out the mental garbage. It keeps the good stuff and tosses the bad.
This brings us to emotional homeostasis. It's an essential biological function. Basically, your brain's natural ability to equilibrate and process emotions over time, so they don't last forever. This is exactly why the intense, overwhelming joy of your wedding day doesn't stay at that absolute peak for your entire life. And it's also why the sharp sting of a failure naturally fades over time. But here is the critical takeaway. Without idle time, our brains absolutely cannot achieve this emotional homeostasis.
Let's look at what that lack of idle time means in part 5, the unprocessed emotion backlog.
To truly grasp this, imagine you're on a prehistoric hunting trip. 0 hours in, you miss the target, but your buddy hits it. 5 minutes later, you feel deep jealousy, frustration, maybe inadequacy. But then, you have a 2-hour walk back to camp. You aren't listening to a podcast, you're not doom-scrolling Twitter, you have pure, uninterrupted idle time. By the time you reach the fire 2.5 hours later, your brain has done its job. The jealousy is naturally processed, homeostasis is achieved, and you're totally fine.
Contrast that with today. The moment we feel bad, the second we miss our modern target, we grab our phones. The screen instantly suppresses those negative feelings, just shoving them right down into the unconscious. But it doesn't stop there. As you scroll, the algorithm hits you with a chaotic roller coaster. It shows you something hilarious, then something enraging, then cute, then terrifying. It suffocates your old, unprocessed emotions under a mountain of brand new ones just to keep you clicking.
So here is the brutal, unavoidable reality. By eliminating idle time throughout our day, we are hoarding unprocessed emotions. They're just piling up in the dark. And this leads directly to a massive societal backlog, surging global depression, skyrocketing anxiety, and a profound sense of isolation. When we don't process our emotions, we literally lose our capacity to connect deeply with others. We even lose the capacity to fall in love.
The situation is severe, for sure, but there is a solution. Part 6. Reclaiming your focus.
We have to actively rebuild our attentional muscle, and we can do this through ancient focusing practices like dharana. This isn't about clearing your mind, it's about commanding it. You tell your mind to look at a single anchor, and when it inevitably wanders away, because, it's so used to being constantly entertained, you pull it back like a dog on a leash. You pull it back again and again. This trains the mind to focus forcefully rather than constantly relying on automatic sensory stimulation.
One highly effective, incredibly practical method is tratika, or candle gazing. You literally stare at a flame for 1 to 5 minutes without blinking. And why does this work so well for screen-addicted brains? Well, first, it gives you a strong visual sensory anchor. Second, it evokes this sort of badass ego activation. It is a tough, physical challenge to force yourself not to blink. It's not boring at all. Plus, when you finally close your eyes, the afterimage reveals these inverted, impossible colors, vibrant purples and greens that your fancy 4K phone screen could never actually produce. Traditionally, this is said to cleanse the third eye, or Ajna chakra, increasing your internal intuition. Reclaim your attention. Reclaim your idle time. Reclaim your life. By forcing our minds to focus offline on difficult tasks that require real internal restraint, we win back our ability to just be. We reclaim the precious idle time our brains desperately need to process our daily lives, digest our massive emotional backlog, and restore our mental health. Taking back your attention is the very first domino that needs to fall.
So I'm going to leave you with this one vital question to consider before you reach for your phone the next time you feel a moment of boredom or anxiety. Are you controlling your attention today, your most valuable resource, or is an algorithm out there farming it while your unprocessed emotions just pile up in the dark? Really think about it and start taking the mental stairs instead of the elevator. Thanks so much for